Welcome to the deep dive. You probably know Shakuntala Devi, the human computer, right? Her mental math skills were just legendary.
Absolutely world famous.
So we've got some interesting material here, and today we're digging into a specific question. Was there any connection between her, amazing abilities and temples, or maybe her spiritual beliefs?
Yeah, it's a great question. And looking at her background, well, it sets an interesting stage. She was born in Bangalore, 1929, into a Kannada Brahmin family.
Okay, Brahmin, so traditionally the priestly class in Hinduism, often linked with scholarship, religious stuff.
Exactly, but this is quite unusual. Her father actually became a circus performer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which kind of suggests maybe a step away from, strict tradition in their immediate family.
Right. A bit less conventional, perhaps.
But then there's her grandfather. He is a family priest, a scholar in the Vedas, the ancient Hindu scriptures, and astrology too.
So you've got these, different influences swirling around her early life. It's quite a mix.
Definitely. And then incredibly, her math talent just
Yeah.
appears at age 3.
3. That's just unbelievable.
I know. And by 6, she's already demonstrating this at the University of Mysore.
6 years old.
At a university.
And that led to tours, nationally, internationally. Oh, people called it a God-given gift.
And of course, the Guinness World Record in 80, and that calculation, the 23rd root of a 201-digit number. I mean, my head hurts just thinking
To me, about it. So we took all that background and specifically looked for temple connections in the materials.
What did we find?
Well, what really stands out is
Hmm.
pretty much nothing direct. There's no evidence we could find linking her performances or even regular visits to temples in relation to her math skills. There are mentions of places like Surkanda Devi, Santala Devi, Shrinkala Devi temples, but they don't involve her.
Ah, so similar names, but different contexts entirely.
Exactly. And we also saw other women named Shakuntala Devi linked to temples doing other things, so it's important not to get those confused. Got it. So despite that Brahmin background, the sources just don't show her doing her math demonstrations in temples.
Good.
Did she, work with religious groups in other ways using her math? Anything there?
Again, not really explicit in what we reviewed. There was one time she interviewed a temple priest, which sounds promising, right?
Yeah.
But it turns out that was for her research on homosexuality, not a math thing.
Oh, okay. Completely different topic.
Yeah. So it seems her public demonstrations, her career showcasing the math, it was mostly secular.
Which is interesting given how strongly she felt about the source of her gift, isn't it? Why do you think that is? Maybe her faith was just more private, or the travel.
That's a really good point. Because while the temple link isn't there, her personal faith was clearly hugely important to her.
Right.
She was Hindu, and the sources are specific. She was devoted to Lord Ganesha, her family deity from her other side, and also Lord Krishna.
And this is key. I think she consistently said her talent was a God-given gift or God's grace. She didn't shy away from that explanation at all.
Not at all. That was her firm belief, her interpretation of this incredible ability she possessed.
Did the scholarly sources offer other ideas, like psychological explanations maybe? How did they square with her view?
Well, the analyses we looked at, they mostly focus on the math itself, how she did it, and later her work on homosexuality. They do acknowledge her religious background.
But they don't really challenge her God's gift idea.
Not really, no. They mention it, but don't dive deep into refuting or analyzing that spiritual claim itself. It's sort of accepted as her stated belief. Plus, she was interested in astrology.
Right, another non-purely rational system, you could say.
And she believed the human mind was superior to computers. There was even a point she thought about renouncing the world, wanted to set up a math institute with a very spiritual backbone.
Wow. So that spiritual element was deeply woven into how she saw math in her own mind.
Absolutely. She even called Lord Ganesha her friend, said maybe he sent helpers for her calculations.
A friend who helps with math, and she actively pushed back against purely psychological takes.
She did. She believed it was divine intervention. And interestingly, her father apparently felt the same way, that her gift was from God.
So, pulling it all together then.
Yeah, so basically our deep dive didn't find that direct link to her performing or being heavily involved within temple settings specifically for her math.
Right. No evidence of that.
But her deep personal faith, especially in Ganesha and Krishna, and her constant framing of her talent as divinely given, That's undeniable. It's the lens through which she saw everything.
So the lack of temple stuff might just be because her career was secular, or she traveled so much, or maybe her religious practice was just kept separate, more private.
Could be any or all of those, yeah.
Okay, so this leaves us with a final thought for everyone listening. Considering how strong her spiritual beliefs were, and how she viewed math as almost divine, how might that faith have actually shaped her understanding of numbers, her way of calculating, even without her being in a temple doing it?
It's a fascinating question, isn't it? That intersection of profound faith and just extraordinary human ability.
Definitely something to ponder. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.